Edition of Cronkite Sports Live. Sun Devil Hoops went to the Big Apple and came away with 2 big wins, and we got the highlights for you.
What's the latest with ASU football and the coaching situation?
And how did ASU fare on the wrestling mats against the top opponent? Your questions are answered next on this edition of Cronkite Sports Live. Hey everyone, and welcome inside Studio 6 for this edition of Cronkite Sports Live. She's Sammy Miller and I'm Kevin Mullet, and thanks for being with us here on this Friday in Phoenix. And we got an upset in Brooklyn last night to get our show going, Sammy.
Oh yeah, Kevin, it may not be March, but there is a lot of madness going on after the Sun Devils' upset win over 20th ranked Michigan. Let's just say ASU fans and really the rest of the country were shocked, to say the least, that the Sun Devils had their largest margin of victory versus a ranked opponent in program history. Let's roll the highlights to see how it all went down in the concrete jungle where those Sun Devils made their dreams come true at the Barclays Center. And right here, DJ Horn, little step and hits the three-pointer. He would get the Sun Devils going early on. Once again, Horn with the ball in his hands. He was in an Empire state of mind all night long with 19 points on the game. And right here, Frankie Collins competing against his former team, Michigan, dishing it out to Nunez. He is only a freshman, folks. And DJ Horn, once again, ball in his hands, dishing it to the big man in the paint, Warren Washington. Let's see it again. The Nevada transfer, getting high, getting active. That's what we like to see. Right here, Alonzo Gaffney getting the rebound, dishing it to his teammate Nunez, going around the world, not even around the world, around all 5 boroughs in New York City, showing off that freshman athleticism. Fantastic job by the Sun Devils, winning 87-62. And ASU and Michigan, they got a little chippy, but let's see what the Sun Devils, DJ Horn and Devin Cambridge, had to say from last week.
Really, it's the same thing. We got to have communication on the defense end, playing together still. And I think, we can compete with anybody if we do those things. I'm not really scared to play anybody. But we want that Michigan game. You heard it here first. Yeah, for Frankie.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
The Sun Devils were put on a huge stage. They knew that they needed to prove people wrong after their last few losing seasons, and it was truly a statement win for them. We'll have to wait and see if this caliber of basketball can translate to conference play, and a huge part of that will be ASU's effectiveness from beyond the arc. For a breakdown on those numbers so far this season, we bring in Ben Paris for one of my favorite segments, By the Numbers.
After their first 4 games of the season, Arizona State men's basketball has made just 25 three-point baskets on 85 attempts, giving them a 29.4 three-point percentage. But after last night's game against Michigan, the script seems to have flipped as the Sun Devils went 11 of 19 from 3, making it their best performance from behind the arc on the young season. So the question is, will last night be the start of something positive to come, or was it a one-off performance? Coming into the game against Michigan, the team was ranked 264th in three-point shooting among all Division I teams. No, you don't need to make trays to be a good basketball team, and yes, the sample size is small as it's not even Thanksgiving, but you have to wonder why Bobby Hurley's teams have been so historically bad from behind the arc during his tenure at ASU. A season ago, it was an ugly story. The team shot 30.7% during Pac-12 play, making them the worst team from long range in the entire conference. When you're at the bottom, there's only one direction you can go, and the Sun Devils will certainly be trying to get those three-point numbers up as the games get bigger and bigger down the stretch.
Alrighty, Ben, the Sun Devils' 2 most recent performances have allowed them to eliminate that sour taste in their mouth following a loss at Texas Southern this past weekend. That game was part of the inaugural year of the Pac-12 SWAC Legacy Series that both the men's and women's programs are participating in. For more on the partnership between the 2 conferences, we check in with WCSN's Tia Reed.
The Conference of Champions is making history once again. Back in September of 2021, the Pac-12 announced a first-of-its-kind partnership with the SWAC, an athletic conference consisting of historically black colleges and universities. While the agreement includes a slate of home-and-home games scheduled to be played between Pac-12 and SWAC member schools beginning this season, the greater purpose of the Legacy Series is to get athletes involved with raising awareness for social justice and anti-racist initiatives. Not only does the partnership bring the two conferences together, but it also draws guidance from the Equal Justice Initiative to set the parameters and goals of the alliance. Participating athletes will have the chance to take part in various educational opportunities such as community engagement, historic site visits, and more. For the debut season of the Legacy Series, 12 games across men's and women's basketball were scheduled. So far, the women of the Pac-12 are a perfect 3-0, while the men's series finished at an even 3-3 with Grambling State, Texas Southern, and Prairie View A&M, recording wins over Colorado, ASU, and Washington State respectively. Going forward, this series promises to be exciting and competitive, while also highlighting an important lesson for coaches, athletes, and fans alike, that some things go beyond the game of basketball. Back to you guys at the desk.
If you couldn't tell already, for Coach Adair, winning is of course important, but it doesn't mean everything. She wants her players to feel like they are a part of something bigger than themselves, a part of a family. And families have trust and confidence in one another. This culture that Coach Adair is working hard to build is already paying off for players like Jaden Simmons, whose missing puzzle piece all throughout her Sun Devil career has been confidence. Well, now she has it. And for more on how this junior is leading the way for the Sun Devils, I'll send it over to our women's basketball reporter, Justin Lacertosa.
Thanks, Sammy. The Natasha Adair era is now in motion as the Sun Devils are enjoying a 3-0 start to the season. From the coaching staff to the players, there have been a variety of contributors to this hot start, most notably junior guard Jaden Simmons, who has filled the void of becoming ASU's leader early on. Simmons has moved into more of a combo guard role rather than the primary ball handler, and she's thrived thus far. She's been putting on a scoring clinic, tallying 16 points per night while shooting a stellar 52% from the field and 37% from long range. The Lone Star State native has attributed her success to newfound confidence, and it's clear with her smooth play on the court, warranting her nickname J Smooth. When the program needed it most, Simmons developed into the face of Sun Devil women's basketball, and she looks to prolong ASU's early season success as the star of the show.
Hey, thank you so much, Justin. We now head to the gridiron with ASU football, and some news regarding the impending head coaching search came out this past week as the university hired Jed Hughes of the Korn Ferry firm to assist with the search of the next head coach.
And Kevin, some notable names that he's responsible for hiring include Jim Harbaugh at Michigan, Pete Carroll with the Seattle Seahawks, and Larry Scott, the former commissioner of the Pac-12.
As it stands today, Oregon offensive coordinator Kenny Dillingham has emerged as a prime target for ASU's head coaching vacancy. The ASU alum was recently nominated for the Boyles Award, which is given to the top assistant coach in the country.
And yeah, that would definitely be a big-time hire for ASU, given that program's success. But speaking of the state of Oregon, OSU, who is currently ranked 23 in the country, is now in town to take on the Sun Devils for an early 12:15 kickoff on Saturday.
That's right, it'll be senior day for the Sun Devils, but the focus for Kyle Soley and company may be on one player in particular. Here's our Blake Neiman with a preview on a beaver who's been gnawing away at this ASU defense for quite some time.
Jack Coletto is the Swiss Army knife that has been carving up the Devils for years. The Oregon State utility player is one of just 4 finalists for the Paul Hornung Award, which is annually given to the nation's most versatile college football player. His versatility is what has posed such an immense challenge for the Sun Devils on both sides of the football. We will start with the position he is designated to be on the roster, inside linebacker. Coletto has a nose for the football, which is why he serves as a midline of defense against both the run and the pass. Yet it is on the other side of the football that this jack of all trades really comes into play. In the Beavers' past 2 meetings with the Sun Devils, Coletto has rushed for a combined 101 yards to go along with 3 touchdowns on a total of just 12 carries. That comes out to an average of over 8 yards per carry against ASU in his career. In short yardage situations, Coletto will often be set up in a wildcat formation, and with his 6'3", 239-pound frame, there's little the Sun Devils will be able to do to stop him. In taking into account all of that and applying it against this Arizona State defense that has surrendered 175.5 rushing yards per game, expect this multi-tooled weapon to be used at full capacity.
When a team is hot, they're tough to beat, and that's currently the case for Arizona State hockey. The Sun Devils have won 5 in a row and 6 out of their last 7, which was highlighted by an upset win over then 6th-ranked North Dakota. WCSN hockey reporter Anthony Remedios elaborates on who's been the biggest factors during this streak.
It's been a team effort for the Sun Devils, but the biggest contributions on the ice have come from junior forward Lucas Sillinger, senior forward Robert Mastrosimone, sophomore forward Josh Doan, and sophomore goalie TJ Semptenfelter. Sillinger leads the team in points with 10 on the season, a total of 3 goals and 7 assists, and scored the first goal in ASU's shutout win over Anchorage on Saturday. Mastrosimone leads the team in shots attempted with 47 and is tied with Doan for second in points with 9. Mastro earned an assist in 3 of the last 4 games, but his biggest contribution was the game-winning goal early in the 3rd period against North Dakota.
Robert Mastrosimone, 3-2 Arizona State.
Speaking of Doan, he's earned an assist in 4 of the last 5 and won 54% of his faceoffs. But perhaps the biggest contribution over the 5-game win streak has been Semptenfelter, who just earned the 3rd shutout of his young Sun Devil career, on pace to break Joey DeCourt's program record of 8 in his 3-year career. Semptenfelter has averaged 23 saves per game and under 2 goals against per game. He currently ranks 3rd in saves in college hockey with 342. Won't be an easy battle for the Sun Devils, who are getting ready to start a 2-game series against Clarkson tonight. For WCSN, I'm Anthony Remedios.
The road ahead for the Sun Devils doesn't get much easier, with one of the best college hockey programs in the nation coming into town next week. The Minnesota Golden Gophers will lace up their skates and play against a few Minnesota natives on the Sun Devils squad. To get us ready for this highly anticipated matchup, we have none other than a guy who knows a little bit about Juicy Lucy's hot dish and of course some stick and puck, our own Minnesota native Riley Swenson.
We're out here in front of Mullet Arena where come Thanksgiving weekend, ASU will be taking on the Minnesota Gophers. And being from the land of 10,000 lakes, I could tell you all about that series, but I figured we better sit down with some of my fellow Minnesotans who are going to be playing in that series and ask them what it was like growing up in the state of Minnesota and what this series means to them.
I'm Jack Jensen from Eden Prairie, Minnesota.
I'm Teddy Lagerback from Minnetonka, Minnesota.
I'm Tucker Ness. I'm from Wayzata, Minnesota.
It's definitely been a process, you know, playing juniors in Omaha, Nebraska for the Omaha Lancers. Originally was committed to Minnesota for 5 or 6 years under Lucia, and you know, it's kind of like it's the dream, you know, going to the games and you're a little kid with the family, and just, I don't know, it's always like the biggest dream, you know, when you're just growing up from Minnesota.
I played with most of those guys growing up, played against all of them, played with them at practice and stuff, so it's definitely personal and definitely want to beat those guys to rub it in their face. So
super cool for them to be able to play for the hometown team and everything, but you know, with them coming to town here, it's, you know, it's all business.
All right, we got some wrestling highlights for you as the Sun Devils take the mats at Mullet for the very first time. Good crowd on hand as they take on one of the top-ranked teams in the country. Here early on, Richard Figueroa with a single leg shot and the takedown got the crowd fired and riled up early in Mullet Arena, which is exactly what you love to see if you're an ASU fan. This time, we're going to get a reversal here from Figueroa, and he was on one last night. Later on in the duel, we see Michael McGee here winning the match. There's some bodies flailing over the course of this one right there as you see him going up and over, but that ends the match right there. And then this was probably the moment of the match. Jesse Vasquez with, as Jack Bartlett, our reporter, describes, as one of the most insane finishes to a wrestling match ever. You see right there, Zeke Jones sprints across the match. There was a minute left in the match when he needed to escape and a takedown to win the match. He got it there. And finally, it all came down to Colton Schultz, and he once again does what he does best and flashes a little smile to the home side. There you see the wrestling players celebrating at the student section at Mullet for the first time. Arizona State upsets Mizzou.
We were in a few jams. I mean, that's a darn good team. And we just found some ways to get away, right? To get off the bottom. And I thought we could have probably did that a little better. But a couple times we almost got taken down and was able to take it away from them. There were a couple times They almost got away from us, but we were able to put them back down on the ground. And in wrestling, like most sports, it's a game of inches, and I think we were able to win the inches.
As mentioned, last night was the debut of Sun Devil Wrestling at brand new Mullet Arena, and ASU was able to open it with a bang. For more on the impact of that Sun Devil victory over Mizzou, we go to WCSN wrestling reporter Kellen Croxton.
The win over Mizzou wasn't just an upset, it was a crucial make-or-break showing for the tournament at the end of the season. Losing Anthony Valencia and Jacora Teamer raised some questions if the team was going to continue its national tournament success after last season's third-place finish. With Penn State and Iowa looking as favorites to claim the top 2 spots, Arizona State's in a battle for third with Iowa State, Cornell, Michigan, and Ohio State. And beating the previous number 3 team in the nation is going to help the Sun Devils' chances. However, the match wasn't just about season rankings. Arizona State wrestlers had a chance to compete against top 25 athletes in almost every weight class. And the Sun Devils learned a lot, like seeing redshirt freshman Richard Figueroa have flashes of a national champion career, or Anthony Montalvo, an Oklahoma State transfer who's making a name for himself at ASU. With multiple top 10 teams on the schedule for this year, Arizona State needed to look ready to go. And after the team showing against Mizzou, it looks like the Sun Devils are.
Over the past few seasons under Zeke Jones, the Sun Devils have used the transfer portal to their advantage, and our Jack Bartlett has more on what the new additions and the changing culture have done to the program.
There's been a lot of buzz surrounding the transfer portal as of late, but it seems no one has been more advantageous of the portal than ASU Wrestling.
The transfer portal's been a friend to us. I mean, it really has made our team stronger. You know, we don't have kids that want to leave. They want to come here. So we're pretty fortunate that the momentum is, this is a place where kids want to come and be a part of, and even willing to wait a year or two to get into the lineup now, which is ultimately the sign of a program that has strength. So the transfer portal's really been good to us.
Over the last 2 seasons, ASU has gotten 5 transfers who will appear on the starting lineup this season.
I think, you know, with the additions of Tony Negron and Anthony Montalvo and Jonathan Fagan, right? I mean, 3 guys that came from outside the program. They really shore up our lineup and give us depth and strength top to bottom.
Negron and Fagan both headed west from their East Coast schools, while Montalvo will appear at 184 pounds for ASU as a transfer from Oklahoma State.
Like home, really. Just kind of, I've known a lot of these guys growing up. A lot of the guys are California guys, so everyone's made me feel really comfortable, feel at home. Just really happy to be back competing again on a team that's, you know, we got a shot for national titles. 133-pound Mikhail McGee also transferred from Old Dominion 2 seasons ago, as well as 149-pound Kyle Parco, who came from Fresno State last year. Parco said he's liked training with Negron in the early going of this season.
He's really good when he brings the heat every practice. He's one of those guys that's not afraid to get in your face and go hard. So he's a really good partner just for this season. And he'll be a good training partner for the remainder of the year and for as long as he's here.
Zeke Jones described the transfer portal as a friend. I would call it a best friend. ASU Wrestling and the transfer portal go hand in hand with each other's success as of recently. The portal has bolstered this Sun Devil roster, and it has fans clamoring for a national title run. From Cronkite Sports, this has been Jack Bartlett.
There's one Sun Devil program that no matter how much pressure they are under year after year, they still get it done in the biggest of moments. It is none other than ASU Triathlon, who just added their 6th straight national title to their trophy case last weekend right here in Tempe. Our Henry Domini has more on how these athletes became national champs.
If you think innovation is the only dynasty at ASU, you'd be wrong. Arizona State Triathlon just claimed their 6th straight national title last weekend. The Devils beat out Queen's University of Charlotte and University of Denver, courtesy of a 1-2 finish from junior Amber Schlebusch and senior captain Liberty Rica. Schlebusch distanced herself on the final running leg from her teammate and won by a margin of 1 minute and 10 seconds. ASU packed the top 10 with 4, which helped them to the overall team victory. The Sun Devils won by only 9 points over Queen's University, and after 6 straight years of winning the Division II title, participated in their first D1 race. Head coach Cliff English said that they feel as good as the first one. He shared as one of his team's secrets to success. He said that the basics, consistency, and hard work are how the team stays on top year after year. As only 2 athletes graduate this year, the expectations stay the same for the Devils. Keep the streak going and win another national championship. Back to you guys.
Arizona State football will not be going bowling after falling to Washington State last weekend 28-18. This marks the first time since 2016 that the team will not be participating in bowl season. Now, that does exclude the 2020 season in which the team went 2-2 and was actually eligible for a bowl game, but elected to opt out of it due to the global pandemic that was going on at the time. This week gave everyone a chance to look back on the missed opportunities along the way that led ASU football to the point they currently sit at. Let's start with this season. After keeping it close with then 11th ranked Oklahoma State, her Millward side came back home as 20-plus point favorites against Eastern Michigan. And well, you know what happened next. Her Millwards was out the next day, Sean Aguano in. And when Aguano took over with a record of 1-2, time was still on ASU's side to turn things around. They upset Washington at home, but 2 weeks later proceeded to not allow a touchdown against Stanford and still lose the game. They were only down 6 points late fourth quarter against UCLA, but couldn't complete the comeback. If one or perhaps both of these results are different, it's a completely different situation for Arizona State right now. But yet, Sun Devil fans are used to this feeling. Look at last year, for example. A team that many had thought had a legitimate shot at a Rose Bowl berth saw that opportunity quickly vanquished after blowing a 14-point halftime lead on the road to Utah. This has become an unfortunate theme for the Sun Devil football program. However, with 2 games remaining this season, there's still an opportunity to finish strong. A chance to upset a second-ranked team plus capture the Territorial Cup for the 6th straight year is still there. But nonetheless, while you're watching other Pac-12 schools participate in their postseason festivities, Arizona State will be in the midst of a head coaching search, a hunt which promises to bring an exciting and innovative mind to Tempe next fall. But if we've all learned one thing about Arizona State football program in recent memory, it's this. Their bark has always been bigger than their bite. And in today's college football, the bite has to be bigger. And that's the way it is.
And now for some top plays, we have some ASU volleyball right here. Jelly Sear with the one arm up. Her teammate Habello putting the ball over. Cami Minor dishing it to her middle blocker. Shannon Shields was there. Ravensburg for the set. Habello putting the ball down, bringing some Brazilian flair as well.
Number 3, let's go to Brooklyn, shall we? Here we see DJ Horn driving. He finds Warren Washington, who wants to go higher. One of the big exclamation points in last night's upset win.
Let's stick with some Sun Devil basketball. Hello again, Mr. Austin Nunez, going around the world with that layup. A beautiful play from the freshman. Frankie Thomas is calling for a timeout for the Michigan squad.
And finally, number 1, Jesse Vasquez here. The clutch takedown in a pivotal bout against the number 6 of Missouri. Zeke Jones fired up there, as well as the rest of the Mullet Arena faithful, as it made it 3 in a row early on against Missouri Sun Devils, will later go on to complete the upset of one of the top programs in the country. And that's all the time we have on today's edition of Cronkite Sports Live, but this weekend is filled with football, basketball, hockey, and so much more. So don't worry, you will still get your ASU athletic fixins.
And Kevin, also make sure you're getting your turkey and all of those yummy fixings next week for Thanksgiving. And speaking of the holiday, I do want to give a big thank you to everyone who makes this show possible each and every week. It truly is a family affair here at Cronkite Sports Live, and I wouldn't want it any other way. I'm Sammy Miller. That's Kevin Milliter. Have a great weekend, everyone.